It's a pleasure to be here on stage, and it's even more of a pleasure to introduce tonight's first presentation. Of course, Blackmagic is with us again tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, here to connect with you and tell you all about what's happening here at NAB Show with Blackmagic Design is Alexis Van Hurkman.
Hello. I am back again, and how about that? Another version of DaVinci Resolve is upon us. It's almost like a year has passed since I've been here. So this is a pretty big year for us, and it's kind of a really fun demo I've got for you, because the big news of the show is that we're introducing more editorial functionality in DaVinci Resolve 11. And I think you're going to like what you see. So we still care passionately about interoperability, and so we're doing this for a number of reasons. We want you to be able to import your project from any NLE you want to use. So we still work great with Final Cut Pro 10, great with Premiere Pro. We can bring in Media Composer projects. You can bring them into DaVinci Resolve, and when your client asks you at the 11th hour for that total re-edit that you feared they were going to want, you can just go ahead and use our built-in tool set to do a really nice re-edit and continue going forward with your round-trip project. We don't want you going backwards. We want you going forwards. And if you have a project that you're starting from scratch that you think would benefit from an extremely tight integration of editorial and really great color correction tools, then you can start your project from scratch in DaVinci Resolve 11, and we think we have a tool set that you're really going to like using. So I'm going to get right to it. If we can switch to my computer display, I'd like to show you some of these workflows I'm talking about. So I'm going to start out opening up Resolve, and I'm going to open up a brand new project because I want to go to the edit page and start by importing a project first. So I'm going to import an XML. I'm going to choose this Final Cut Pro 10 project, and I want to reconform it to the original camera, original media, so I'm going to click Ignore File Extensions, find my media, down here in the Paris folder, click OK, and just like that, I bring it in. And if I frame it up, you can see that we actually bring a lot of stuff in from Final Cut Pro 10. You can see we import titles now, we import a lot of different effects. And one of the first features I'd like to show you, if I open up our edit index, which is a list view of the timeline, if you're a finishing editor, I can open this up and sort and filter the edit index. So I'm going to show only the through edits, of which I have a few. If I click my way down the list, I can jump from through edit to through edit in the project, and I can check my project. If any of these through edits are things I need to deal with, get rid of, or fix, I can do that. If they're fine, I can leave them be. If I import a 2-hour-long project, I can also do things like filter by offline clips. So instead of trawling through my 2-hour timeline, I can just filter out those offline clips, jump straight to them, and fix the problem. We want you to work faster. We want these things to not be so much of a chore. So if I close up my edit index, let's take a look at some other things that we can bring in our round trip. If I zoom in and select this clip, I can open up the inspector and show that we have a complete set of composite controls. We've got composite modes, opacity settings. You can do superimpositions, as many as you want. We have a full set of transform settings and cropping settings. So if you're importing these parameters from other NLEs, we bring it all in. And if you want to do these effects from scratch, you've got the controls right here. If I zoom into the timeline a little farther, I can click this control and open up a keyframe track. We now import and expose keyframes, so you can continue working with the animation that the editor provided you. And if you need to do more detailed work, we now have a built-in curve editor that's contextual to the timeline. It's married to the clip that you're working on. And it's a really nice design. I can select any keyframe. I have a set of buttons here to affect the interpolation. I can go ahead and use Bezier curves, play through everything I need. So I'm going to close this back up, and I'm going to drag this divider up because I want you to take a look at this audio. We're bringing in all of the level keyframes from Final Cut Pro 10. We also bring in these fader handles from Final Cut Pro 10, or if you want to reorganize your timeline, we also provide you with crossfades. If I double-click one of these clips, I can open it up into the source viewer, and you can see we have a brand new, really beautiful waveform view in the source viewer, and I can zoom into it and out of it depending on how much detail I need to see. It shows me all of the channels of audio within that track, and by the way, we have multiple channels of audio inside of individual audio tracks. So we like to keep the timeline neat and tidy. If you have 6 source audio channels, those all fit nicely into one track. But if you want to see them, you can click this control here, and we expose all of the waveforms for all of the channels within that particular track. And we also support adaptive tracks up to 16 channels of audio per track. Or you can use strongly typed tracks if that's what you want to do. And with all of these controls, I can go up here to view and open up our audio mixer. We have a full audio mixer that exposes track level settings on top of the individual clip level settings. So you can mix at the click level or at the track level. And I can switch this to clip mode if I want. And now this is a clip mixer if that's the way I want to set my levels. And in track mode, this also has all my channel assignments, and I can dictate whether or not these stereo channels are mono or stereo. So we have a lot of control for bringing projects in and massaging them. But I want to go back to what I said up front. If you want to do something from scratch, I want to show you what that looks like in DaVinci Resolve 11. So I'm going to open up another project. I'm going to open up this Pool Shark project. I'm not going to save this. I don't need that. And I'm going to switch over to the Timelines browser. We now have a Timelines browser in addition to the media pool. So if you want to organize multiple timelines by bin, we give you a complete UI for that. You can put it into list mode. You can sort, sift, and find. We give you a lot of organization. And I'm going to start with this empty timeline with this first scene, Clips in Scene 2. Now, client called me up a little while ago, said they're going to come in this afternoon. They'd like to take a look at something. So I really want to slam some scenes together, work quickly. If I scroll all the way to the end, I can see that I've got all the metadata I need to sort these clips out by scene, take, and angle. Sorting by scene, everything's in the right order. So I've got this film strip view that lets me skim through. I can set in and out points, and I can quickly assemble a series of cuts. I can shift-click all of them, right-click, and choose Create Timeline using selected clips. And just like that, I've got a timeline set up. If I scrub through, I can see I've got some nice continuity, all done really quickly. But as I'm putting this together, I notice a bit of a problem. This clip is not like all the others. Well, I'm using Resolve. So I just click the color button, and all of a sudden, I've got a full-blown color correction environment with which I can edit even this rough cut. So I'm going to brighten that shot up. Maybe I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. And I like the look of that so much, I'm going to go through these other clips, and I'm just going to warm them up too. I want to kind of impress my client when they swing by. And there I've done a super fast grade, and I jump back to the edit page. And if I scroll through here, you can see I've now got a graded project. And I can go back and forth all day long, as much as I want. No reconforming, no exporting projects. I don't have to change applications. I just jump back and forth with impunity and keep working. So if I go here, maybe I want to cut to a close-up. So I'm going to double-click this clip back here. Double-clicking a clip in the timeline does a match frame. And with this match frame available from the media pool, I can pick a matching angle. I can match frame either from the media pool to the timeline or from the timeline to the media pool. I can go either way. With this setup, I can drop it in, and that's looking pretty good. Maybe it's a little bright. I'm going to go ahead and duck that down a little bit. So easy back and forth. Now, that went together pretty quickly. Maybe I'm going to continue. I'm going to select scene 3. I'm going to roll forward. Now, I know this scene has a little more continuity in it, so I'm going to want a better view of my media. So I'm going to open these clips into my source viewer, And I'm going to set an in and out point for this first clip. I want a full master shot that I'll cut into. I'm going to drop this down. I've got overlays, I've got buttons, I've got keyboard shortcuts to do this kind of assemble editing if I want, and I have a full set of keyboard shortcuts to navigate around my UI to go from place to place to place, and we have customizable keyboard shortcuts. So whatever you want to map to any given function, you can now set this up yourself. We give you some presets that we think you're going to like, or you can set up your own. So with this setup, I'm going to move here, set an in point, because I want to cut into the shot. And I'm going to go to one of these close-ups. And I want to back time this. I want to go ahead and match this. Set an out point, drag, and I get a 3-point edit. Sorry, I'm losing my voice up here. I've been doing this all week. So I have the 3-point edit set up, and that's looking pretty good. Maybe if I don't like the continuity, I can select my trim tool, and I can go ahead and slip. I've got a 4-up display now. If I'm slipping and sliding, I can slide by just dragging down here. I've got roll edits, and I've got ripple edits. Everything I need to do is there in one tool. So last thing I want to do, maybe I want to cut her reaction to sinking that pool ball. So right there, I'm going to set an in point, and I want to get her reaction, so I get right before that little glance in, drop that in, so I've got a really nice cut there. But now I'm noticing I cut off my audio. Now I have a roll edit tool no matter what I do, whether I'm in selection mode or whether I'm in trim mode. So if I hold the Option key down, I can roll this over at any time. We want to keep you working fluidly. We always want to give you the tools you might need at any given time, so you always have access to a roll edit. With this setup, I've got my split edit, and that's what assembling a cut looks like in DaVinci Resolve. But we've tried to give a lot of different functions a lot of thought. We want to make this a tool that's going to be fun for you to use. We want this to put all the power at your disposal when you want it. So I've got this transition from scene to scene. If I right-click right on that edit point, one of the new things we can do is that we now allow you to add a transition with 6, 12, 24, or 48 frames, all from one convenient pop-up menu. So I just drop in a 48-frame dissolve, or I can drop in a 12-frame dissolve, whatever I want to do. I can resize from the timeline if that's what I want to do, or I can double-click it, and I have properties in the inspector. So I can go ahead and change my alignment. I can change the duration numerically if that's what I want to do. And since this is a cross dissolve, I have different styles. So I can choose our new film style cross dissolve. And if I play through, I now have this really beautiful cinematic style, optical style dissolve. And with that setup, I also have easing I can choose. So I can ease in, out, or in and out. So I have a lot of different ways of customizing these transitions. And if I open up my toolbox, we give you a lot more transitions to start with, but we don't want you getting bogged down. In fact, we also offer open effects transitions. So if you have GenArt Sapphire transitions, you can go ahead and use those inside of Resolve, transitions and generators, all in the edit page. But when you have a bunch of transitions, maybe you don't want to look at them all the time. So I can add particular transitions as favorites. Maybe I want this oval iris that I'm going to use all the time, and I can filter by my favorites. So I can always find just the transitions I want very quickly and easily. So that's a really cool feature that we offer. So that's what assembly looks like, but I think when you see what we've done with trimming, you're going to see just how serious we are about giving you a really great editing experience. So I'm going to switch to another timeline that's a little farther along, and I'm going to start showing you some of our really cool trim tools. So I'm going to start simple and then move to more fun stuff. First off, we've got trim start and trim end, and it's multi-track aware. So if I press shift bracket, I can go ahead and chop off all those end points. Or if I press shift in bracket, I can go ahead and trim all those endpoints, line them all up to the timeline. Or if I move over to the trim tool and do the same thing, shift in bracket, now I've gone ahead and chopped off all those endpoints and closed the gap. So all of our trim tools work either to resize in selection mode or to trim in trim mode, which will ripple the timeline. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Now, all of these trim functions also obey the auto select controls. So if I shift click to turn off all of my audio auto select controls, I can go ahead and shift end bracket, and now I'm just chopping off the video and not touching the audio. So the auto select controls are controls that we use to define a lot of functionality as you trim. So I'm going to move forward here, and I'm going to go to these superimpositions because I want to show you another thing we can do. If I select that incoming edit point, I can command click to select another incoming edit point, and I can drag and ripple multiple clips at the same time, which makes it really easy to deal with superimpositions. And by the way, if I select the entire clip, now I can slip both of those at the same time, or I can slide both of them at the same time. So we allow multiple selection trimming as well, but it gets better because I can go ahead and select that edit point, and then select an opposing edit point, and then select another edit point, and another opposing edit point, and another edit point, go into my selection mode, and I can go ahead and asymmetrically trim multiple edits at the same time, one per track. And it gets better. So I'm going to drop down here. I'm going to deselect everything. I want to frame up the entire timeline. We can do a lot of this stuff with keyboard shortcuts. We know a lot of you people want to keep your hands on the keyboard. You don't want to mouse around. So if I press the V key, I go ahead and select the nearest edit point. So now, if I hold the Command key down and use JKL, I'm now dynamically trimming. Now I'm doing this as a resize, which isn't particularly exciting. Hold on. If I go to my trim tool, now I'm dynamically rippling the entire timeline. It's all live. I've got my 2-up display in real time. I can do it at multiple speeds. If I want to fast forward JKL trim, I can do that. And all I'm doing is holding down the Command key and using JKL. There are no modes. There's not another trim window. You just do it right here. It's all live. Now I'm going to press Shift-Z, which allows me to select the entire clip, and I can use Command JKL to slip or slide using the S key. Same thing, I still get my 4-up display, which I really love using. I've always wanted to have that. And with this setup, maybe I can do a few more things. I'm going to go ahead and press the V key again. Maybe I'm going to select that edit point right there. And another keyboard shortcut I really like is Option U. If I press Option U, I can switch between just selecting the video, just selecting the audio, or both. So if I want to do a split edit, I can go ahead and select just that, and again, Command JKL to dynamically trim that around. And I have numeric trimming, which is not something we could do last year. So if I type +10 period, I can trim numerically. I can use that to move the playhead around, and I can do these things in combination. So with the trim tool selected, maybe I select that clip, and I select that clip, and I select that clip, and I can go ahead and slip them all together. So I think you'll find that our trim tools are incredibly powerful, and you're really going to like using them. I mean, more to the point, this is fun. I've been demoing this all week, and I just love showing this. It's so fun to use. So that's a really good look at editing, but there's another really huge thing that we're doing this year, and that's collaborative workflow. And this is the first time we're showing it off. We haven't been able to show it at the booth. And to help me demo this, I'd like to welcome our Senior Marketing Director, Paul Saccone, out on the stage. Some of you may know him already. And he's going to help me demo collaborative workflow.
All right.
So let's see if we can get this going. Now, this is a high wire act. This is all live. This is really happening. So I'm going to open up this Collaborate project. Now, if I right-click on it, all I have to do is make sure I've got collaboration turned on. And can we switch to the 2-monitor mode, please? All right. So I'm going to open this project up. And with this project open, I'm going to let Paul know, hey, I'm ready to do some editing. We're pulling a little switch here today. Paul is going to be the colorist. Today, I am your editor.
Thank you. So I'm going to open the project in collaboration mode, like so.
And all we need to do to get this work is to set up a Resolve project server on one of the machines, and it can be one of the machines that you use, and it's not a big deal, it's very simple, and have all of the machines that we want to collaborate on the same network. So while I'm sitting here talking to you, Paul's going to take advantage of this time to start doing a little bit of grading for me. And the way this works is there's one owner of the project, me, the editor. I control the timeline. I'm the only person who controls the timeline, one editor at a time. However, one editor can have multiple colorists accessing the same timeline and grading while I cut. And while he checks grades in, I get these red clip notifications letting me know that shots are being graded while I'm editing. And, you know, maybe I decide I want to select that bit there and delete it. You know, maybe I want to delete this clip altogether. So I'm going to say, hey, Paul, you might want to refresh your timeline because I just deleted something and I don't want you grading something that you shouldn't be wasting your time on.
Thanks for letting me know, Alexis.
Yeah, well, you know. You know editors. They're always changing things.
So I'm going to reload the project.
So he's loading those projects. Now, I'm a sad editor because I've got all this flat log-encoded material, but this little bell down here lets me know, if these red clips didn't, that there are grades waiting for me to update. All of a sudden, just like that, I've now got grades happening. And while Paul's working, he can have multiple assistants drawing mats for him and doing other work for his grades that he can accept and check in. And I can also have an edit assistant in the media page organizing media, setting things up, and entering metadata while I edit. So I can have a whole team working on a single timeline all at the same time. And if I don't want to have to check everything in, I can select auto update, and all of these changes just happen as soon as they're ready for me, and I just edit fluidly, and that's all it takes. So that's collaborative workflow.
You want some greener grass?
Yeah, give me some greener grass.
All right.
Let me see how this looks like. Oh, that's green. Thank you. Everyone, Paul Saccone.
Thank you.
So I'm going to leave you with 3 more features, because while I've been talking about editing all evening, we've shown a lot of love to colorists too. 140 new features in DaVinci Resolve 11. 70 of those are in the edit page. 30 of those are in the color page. So if you're a colorist, we're showing you a lot of love here. I want to show you 3 things that I think you're going to like. First off, these are camera raw clips. So I'm going to select this clip, go into the color page, and I'm going to go into the camera raw palette. This isn't new, but we've added some new things to it. I'm going to switch this to clip mode. I'm going to switch this to Rec 709 for a fast start, and I've just blown out my highlights. But we have new highlight retrieval. So I can just go ahead and roll that back. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see what I just did. I'm going to go ahead and roll that back. One slider, and I've just brought all that detail, all that extra latitude that ordinarily I couldn't fit in, just brought it in and feathered it in beautifully. I also have shadows that I can adjust. I also have a color boost, which is a vibrance operation, which works both positive and negative. And I've got mid-tone detail, which lets me add punch, both positive and negative, for a really cool soft look. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2, I think you're going to like this, especially if you do a lot of multicam. I'm going to go all the way to the end of the timeline, and I've got this color checker chart, and now we have a color match function so that I can open up a color chart target, I can corner pin this into place, so no matter how the AC holds the chart, I can line this up, choose my source gamma, and with one button, I get a good starting point. I hope I have a job next week. So we can do X-Rite color checkers, data color spider checkers, and DSC labs. There's one more thing I want to show you, though, and if you're a colorist, this is going to change how you work. So I'm going to go back here, turn this off. We've got a new group grading mode, and I'm going to go into Unmix and select all of these evening clips, right-click, assign to a group. So I've got this really nice group, and maybe the first thing I want to do in group mode, I've got 3 levels of grading. I can go to pre-clip, and if I want to set a good starting look, maybe I want to desaturate it a little bit. Maybe I want to push this into the orange. Maybe that's what I want the base look to be, and that sets the look for the whole scene all at once. Now I can go into clip mode, and in clip mode I can individually adjust grades, and it doesn't affect the group. So I now have a separation between individual adjustments and group adjustments, and it's consistent. And if I go to group post clip, this is where I can add a little bit of style. So maybe in post clip, I want to go ahead and just add, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to add another node. I want to see my power window, blow this out, and maybe